Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint is probably one of the best stories I've read in a while. The plot, the world building, the characters, everything about this webtoon has literally taken over my life. But out of all the content I've seen talking about this webtoon, there's one thing that I feel hasn't really been talked about. Recently, I managed to find a secret ability of Dokja's that I think is probably the main reason why he's so powerful right now. And no, I'm not talking about the fourth wall. What I'm talking about is something so simple that when I found out, it blew my mind. And what's even crazier is that both you and I can possess this skill that Dokja has. Now, to understand how we can obtain this skill, let's first understand the main man himself, Dokja Kim. Dokja is a former game designer turned strongest man in all of Korea, all because he reads web novels. You see, it so happens that the web novel he's read for 10 plus years is actually a guide to the apocalypse currently happening on Earth right now. Meaning he has full knowledge on how everything is set up here and how to survive the entire onslaught. Oh yeah, silly me, I forgot to mention, there's an apocalypse going on Earth. Yeah, it's being streamed for the entertainment of some celestial beings that really get a kick out of seeing a bunch of bloodshed and people dying. Imagine it's like as fucked up as Kick, the streaming platform, but bloodier, more world ending, and the occasional, let's just say, otherworld god here or there, you know? No big deal, right? But Dokja, having all this knowledge is only a part of his secret ability. To find the whole thing, we need to first look at Dokja's first ever monster kill. He managed to encounter the protagonist of the web novel that he's been reading, whose name is Jung-hyuk. However, Jung-hyuk isn't that nice of a guy and decided to throw him into the open mouth of a giant sea serpent. Damn, now I understand why they say never meet your idols. But fortunately for Dokja, he managed to still be alive inside of the beast. All of a sudden, a white fluffy thing called a Dokja comes and offers Dokja's rewards from the previous scenario. But Dokja, knowing that he needs an advantage to survive, tries to bargain with the Dokja. He asks to enter into a stream contract with the Dokja's channel. They go back and forth on this, but nothing really comes out of it. Instead, what happens, Dokja gets an entirely new scenario he has to complete. If you don't know what scenarios are, think of it like quests in a video game. They're essentially there for people to complete so they can progress to the apocalypse. This next scenario, Dokja is tasked to actually kill the sea serpent that he is currently inside of. But what's surprising is that Dokja is completely unfazed by all this. What happens next is that he immediately gets to work and opens up this window called the Dokja shop and buys two things: a couple stone hog sharp thorns and some hammer seahorse's mucus. Now these feel like a couple of random items, but you'll see why they're important later on. 4 days pass and we see a completely worn out and tired Dokja. He's holding onto one of the thorns as if his life depends on it. Reflecting on the past, he wonders if he's pushed himself too far. Then, all of a sudden, he falls off the thorn and lands inside of the serpent. To our surprise, that serpent is completely dried up. Now you may be wondering, oh, how did he do this? Well, of course, he probably read it in the web novel. Psych! The web novel never had any story like this. Dokja completely did this on his own. What's so surprising is the Dokja's reaction to Dokja's feat. You see, the Dokja goes on to talk about how the stone hog's sharp thorns actually go and dry up their prey, but he's never seen it used like this. On top of that, he didn't even know that the hammer seahorse's mucus could actually be used to protect Dokja from the stomach acid inside of the sea serpent. None of what Dokja did was actually in the web novel he read. This was all from the knowledge he gained from reading the web novel. It was here I realized that Dokja's actual secret ability is not just the fourth wall, nor that he's a reader, but more so he is the ultimate learner. It sounds so simple, but bear with me, it's really impressive. Dokja having a literal entire encyclopedia stuck inside of his head and is able to know what happens next in this world doesn't just sit on all this information. He doesn't just let it happen and hope that everything in the web novel becomes true. No, he takes that knowledge, manipulates it, and applies it to whatever situation he's in. You see, there's one important thing I want to highlight throughout this entire video. True learning is not just being able to recall and memorize certain things, but actually be willing to manipulate that information and play with it. And let me tell you, Dokja does this in spades throughout all of Omniscient Reader. Without the ability to learn, we aren't able to push our own limits. We aren't able to progress and see the bigger picture on a lot of things. As much as Dokja Kim is just a regular character, we as readers can see how we can apply his skills to our own lives. If we can understand how to learn like Dokja does, then we can use that with any skill that we could possibly want. Whether it be playing an instrument or how to do well in school, what matters is that you have to first learn the basics, be able to manipulate that information and play around with it, and hopefully be open to whatever happens afterwards once you experiment. The key is to maintain curiosity, maintain willingness, and be able to play around with the information. See if it's wrong, see if it's right. That's what true learning is. And I hope you guys understand what I'm saying, because that's what it means to be like Dokja Kim, the ultimate learner. And with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more. Now, my name is Luck Deep, and don't forget, stay eccentric out there. Peace.